Good morning, Unity in the Seven Hills. Thanks for joining us this Independence Day weekend. It's going to be an extended weekend for us. And also my son's birthday. So, I'll talk about that a little bit later with the special praise. And Jeannie's. So, if you're watching us out there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment as we go through. Let's start by singing a few songs together. We're going to start with America the Beautiful. Take that love and send it out to the rest of the world. I send my love over the mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy especially for Independence Day. We're going to stand and let freedom ring. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let freedom ring from every bell around this land. Let every voice be lifted, every woman, every man. Let us turn our hearts to joy, walk together hand in hand, raise each other up. It's time to take a stand. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let freedom ring from every bell around this land. Let every voice be lifted, every woman, every man. Let us turn our hearts to joy, walk together hand in hand, raise each other up. It's time to take a stand. Let's raise each other up. It's time to take a stand. Good morning, Unity.
Good morning, Unity in the Seven Hills. Good morning to you. Let's start out by blessing that Christ candle, the Unity candle, with that great affirmation: there's only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. When we can take that in and truly live by that, then, whatever the crisis du jour is, we come into that situation with a new power and a new stride in our step. And we start to discover that, quite frankly, we are overcomers. Had an interesting experience of that. This wasn't the story from the Unity Worldwide Ministries Conference I was thinking of telling, but I think it fits right here. So we drove. And so we're driving back, and all of a sudden my iPhone is down to like around 5% of charge, and it's not charging. Oh my God, it's not charging. Then I think I'm going to lose connection with the outside world. I'm going to lose GPS to find out how to get home. And oh my God, if it's the phone, then if it's the phone going, then I've lost, contacts and everything. And this is going to be my summer, replacing contacts and this and that and everything. If it's the car, oh my God, it's a new car, and it's maybe something wrong with the electrical system going down. Then thinking, don't panic, Rick. You have, your 8-year-old Teresa's here. You don't want to be panicking or any. She has her iPhone and her headphones on. She didn't even notice or anything like that. But then started to center, and had this sense of, is this just stuff you preach on Sunday, or is this stuff you try to live by? Put this in, the one power, one presence, God, the good, omnipotent. You'll get home. You just keep following east. Eventually you'll hit the Atlantic Ocean, and you'll at least have a day, wherever you hit the Atlantic, you'll then have a day to get north. So you're a little later or whatever. It's going to work out. You'll be okay. Just center. And I felt that sense of peace. We stopped. This idea came to me, divine ideas. Maybe it's the cord. I take the cord out. I go in, and Teresa says, "What are you doing?" I said, "The cord. I don't want to." I put another cord in, and all it turned out, it was the cord not working. the cord not working and the phone gets charged, and we got back and everything else. But what I really was happy about is that sense of panic. That sense of panic and, oh my God, my God, even if the iPhone goes, I mean, my God, either it's up in the cloud, some Russian hacker must have and it's there. And if it's not, it will get replaced. It's not the end of the world. Just center. One presence, one power, God the good, omnipotent. And to center on that instead of, craziness, I'll tell you other stories from the conference, but I think that's the one story which honestly truly fits here. And one of the things which I love is that every week we go through one of Unity's 5 principles, and I don't know which number we're on because I wasn't last week. If somebody could flip the slide, will tell me. And we're literally on that principle, Let's just say this out together. God is all there is and is present everywhere. This is the force of love and wisdom that underlines all of existence. An old Woody Allen movie from way back when, Woody Allen looks in the camera and says that he believes in an all-powerful being that rules the entire universe except for certain parts of New Jersey. and the trouble with that is because wherever you are, you're imagining, I'm in that certain part of New Jersey, I'm in that certain part of New Jersey. In 12-step fellowships in the big book, in the big book, there's a part where which is central text AA, there's a part where it says how it works, and that there are some it requires rigorous honesty. There are some who, however, who are not able to be rigorously honest and all. But a lot of people, from what I'm told in 12-step fellowships, think, that's me. I'm constitutionally incapable. And when we get into that thinking, wherever we are, with the plug not working, we think we're in that part of New Jersey. And so it's good to remember there's no spot where God is not. And to say that there is that higher power, there is that divine way, even in this situation. And it's important, even if you're a minister, to remember this. I think I told this story before, but again, another true story. A few weeks ago, and I forget all the details, and all the details are not, but oh my God, I started, and it was something about the church. And I'm thinking, oh my God. I go into Bonnie, and Bonnie says, Rick, she looks at me with this look, you're the minister, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. And you know what? It was. And I now I remember what it was. It was about an issue, oh my God, we have to get candidates to run for the ministry, and the candidates and you'll find out very soon. Wonderful candidates materialized and everything else. Like taking that deep breath, centering one presence, one power, and that there's no spot where God is not, and remembering that we were born blessed and that we remain blessed. And to skip ahead to the 5th principle, it's great when the stuff is head knowledge, but more important than that is when it is heart knowledge. When you are driving on some freeway in Indiana and your iPad or iPhone stops, to remember then, and to remember that prayer and meditation is not, you don't have to have a fully charged cell phone to connect with that one presence and one power. And when we do that, things really, truly go very, very differently. We have wonderful newcomer packets, or if you're new or want to know more about Unity, please speak to us afterwards. We have those packets and would love to send them out. We also are so blessed to have a wonderful YFM program. Crystal is doing such a, I hear from Therese, and she likes it, and it's a wonderful program. So why don't we bless our kids as we send them down to YFM?
So let's stand and bless the youth together. You are a perfect child of God, and God and I love you just the way you are and wherever you are. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Yeah. Let's be seated and let's affirm our mission statement together. Unity in the Seven Hills is a vibrant, inclusive community that inspires individual spiritual growth through education, prayer, heart connection, and sacred service. And while we're on the subject, let's also affirm our vision statement. We are an inclusive community centered in spirit. We embrace our divine oneness, power, and purpose. And I am going to, tons of stories from, as time goes on, from the Unity Worldwide Ministries Convention. Because when I was a member of the congregation and the minister used to go to these things, I used to wonder, what is this boondoggle they're on? I had this view of the convention of wizards, and sorcerers from, Alice in Wonderland or Hogwarts or something like that. But one of the things I learned is that at the Eastern Region meeting in October, which is going to be an online meeting, guess who's going to be one of the featured musicians? Our own Daniel. And Daniel just told me he's planning to do a lot of that because it's an online get-together. He's going to do it from this church. So our church will be really featured at that Eastern Region meeting. And I'm so glad to hear that. I asked Mary Ellen if she would read the daily word.
Is it working? Yes. Okay, cool. This daily word is what our minister was looking for in his car. Guidance. Today's daily word, guidance. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. Seeking divine guidance means tuning out information and opinions and turning inward. Then, with an open heart and quiet mind, I can better feel the nudge of my intuition, my inner voice. I receive divine guidance much in the way flowers in a field soak up sunshine. Just as following the sun is innate for them, I have the instinct to trust my inner knowing. Even if my guidance surprises me, I trust it to lead me on the path to my highest good. I follow where I feel called to go. I heed the still small voice within and pay particular attention to the serendipitous circumstances I find along the way. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. As I do, I deepen my relationship with God, knowing wherever I go, I do not travel alone. The Lord will guide you continually. Isaiah 58:11.
Thank you. And also thank you for the wonderful flower. Mary Ellen brings us wonderful flowers all the time, and we're really blessed for that. Thank you. And now we have some special music. Stand up and be free.
So I was just, you got me? I was just texting my son, who started this song with me. So I was letting him know that I was going to do his song today, which is It's Tristan's birthday today. Happy birthday, Tristan. And he claims this as the Declaration of Independence was mostly signed on the 2nd, so he claims this as his Independence Day. But anyway, so happy 25th birthday today, Tristan. So I'm going to sing a song that we started together, and I actually finished it for a service at Unity in DC, like on the Thursday, and I was performing it on Sunday right afterwards, and it was a powerful experience for me, performing this, for a Brit on July 4th in DC. It was pretty amazing. So I'm gonna sing this song for you. We're all passing through. We've got stuff to do. Live to love and play. Learn to fight another day. We do what we can while working for the man. Call up to above, strive to be enough. Oh, can't you see? Oh, that's how we'll be free. You'll be you and I'll be me. That's enough for us to be. So stand up. Stand up and be free. Stand up for me. Stand up in harmony. Stand up for humanity. Stand up in unity. Stand up and be free. We'll all move along, each with separate songs. Live life, love and learn. Let go of all concern. We do what we can while working to our plan. Call from up above, strive to live enough. Oh, can't you see? Oh, that's how we'll be free. You'll be you and I'll be me. That's enough for us to be. So stand up. Stand up and be free. Stand up for me. Stand up in harmony. Stand up for humanity. Stand up in unity. Whenever I sing Humanity, I always think of Armand. If you've heard Armand, you know that song. Humanity. Oh, you being you, being you, I'll be me, being me. That's enough for all of us to be free. Stand up and be free. Stand up for me. Stand up in harmony. Stand up for humanity. Stand up in unity. Stand up and be free. Happy birthday, Tristan. I think he's watching online.
Thank you, Daniel. Well, I can't think of a better way to celebrate this upcoming 4th of July holiday than to start this series, and it's going to be a multi-part series, on Dr. Edith Eger. Dr. Edith Eger. Now, it was several presidential debates ago. I think it was one of the ones where Bill Clinton was running. And the question was, if you could meet and the emphasis was on living, a living hero, who would that living I spent an afternoon with your living hero. Who would that be? And I recently thought, well, who would I put down? My first thought was maybe I'd put the Dalai Lama down, but then I thought the line to see the Dalai Lama would probably be too long. So I then thought, you know who I'd really like to see? Dr. Edith Eger. Incredible woman. Auschwitz survivor, student of Dr. Viktor Frankl, became a psychologist in her own right, and suffered for many years from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, herself, and then came up with incredible breakthroughs in treating PTSD, author of several wonderful books, which Oprah really picked up on, and one of them is, and I'm going to be referring to it a lot during the series, is The Gift, but she's written other ones. We have copies, Bonnie has copies back there, so please, there's several copies of The Gift which you can get. Also easily purchased online. I wouldn't be surprised if at our local Barnes & Noble, whatever. Now, the way I heard about Edith Eger, and because I think I was fairly late to this, because I mean she had almost as much airtime with Oprah as Eckhart Tolle, but somehow I didn't hear about her through Oprah. The way I heard about her, there were several books which meant an awful lot to me, and I did series on them. One was The Book of Joy, which essentially was the Dalai Lama's 80th birthday celebration, and Archbishop Desmond Tutu went to northern India, and It's a book about that celebration of the Dalai Lama's birthday. And the other is the Book of Hope, which is about Jane Goodall and interviews with Dr. Jane Goodall. The key editor or the key motivating force behind both books was a guy by the name of Doug Abrams, a wonderful editor, and I'm glad he pushed both books through. But he was more than an editor. I mean, he actually participated in a lot of what he interjected is also in the books. And he would interject stories about Dr. Edith Eger. And those stories just hit me. I mean, they were so spot on and all that. And I started reading more about her and thinking, my God, if Unity were to give out a Fifth Principal Award, I mean, they give out at the convention, they give out a Charles Fillmore Award, a Myrtle Fillmore Award. But if they gave out a Fifth Principal, remember the Fifth Principle again, it's not just head knowledge, it's actually living it and putting it into actual, and believe me, Edith Eger has been through a lot more than her cell phone not at 5% charge on an Indiana freeway. This woman, I mean, I'm reading this is really living, wow, what a dramatic example of actually living these unity principles in very difficult situations. So what I would like to do today, I'd like to give a short bio, talk a little bit about Dr. Eger's life, and then what I would really like to also go into an image which she is, which is in so many of her books, her teachings, and everything else like that, is the image of the phoenix rising. That mythological bird, which gets in a fire or something, gets burned to nothingness, and then out of that seemingly tragedy, up comes the phoenix again, rising and flying, and this time even stronger than it was before. That the tragedy, which seems the worst liability in the world, becomes an incredible asset to build, not destroyed, but rebuilt and regenerated. And I think it's a wonderful, powerful image, and there's a lot there for us. So, a short bio on Dr. Eger. She was born. She's born to Hungarian Jewish parents in the 1920s. Her father was a tailor, owned and ran a tailor shop. Good provider, but kind of simple, humble guy. Her mother, and it's going to be interesting because a lot of this paralleled in Dr. Eger's life. Her mother, before meeting the father, had this ultimate romantic relationship with a real artsy guy, which was tragic and broke apart, but remained in many ways, even though there was no contact, the real love of her mother's life. And so now she's married to a tailor, successful and all that, but it's not the most fulfilling thing for the mother. Edith has an older sister. Edith, at a very young age, starts dancing, and turns out she's really good little ballerina. And she's in several art schools. It looks really, she's going to make it to the Budapest Ballet easily, probably the Vienna, maybe the Berlin, or maybe even to Paris. She's really talented. And then she starts doing gymnastics and is really good at it. And the next thing you know, she is on the Hungarian Olympic gymnastic team preparing for the Olympics. Unfortunately, this is the period of the rise of Hitler in Nazi Germany, and I didn't know all that much about Hungary during World War II, but as the Nazis expanded and their empire took over, some places they actually they installed their people. In other places, they put in puppet governments. For example, in France, the northern part of France was Nazi run. The southern part of France was run by Vichy, French collaborators, and so they did the same thing in Hungary. They put in, it wasn't Germans, but it was, Hungarians who were, collaborators and willing to play ball with the Nazis. So it wasn't as brutal as certain other parts of the Nazi Empire for a long time, but Edith was told, you can't be on the Hungarian you're Jewish, you can't be on the Hungarian gymnastics team. Where she was going to school, you can't go there anymore. So things started to really close in. The other thing which I find really interesting, several of her relatives told her, it's really good you're a great dancer and a gymnast, and maybe that's the way you'll be able to get a husband, because you're certainly not going to be able to get a husband on your looks. And, and Edith took this in. Now, I've seen pictures of what she looked like back then. I mean, and if this is what it means getting whipped by the ugly stick, bring the ugly stick on, She was beautiful, and yet she retained, with these things that were said by several older relatives made such a permanent dent, and that's how she felt about herself. Well, it was started to become 1943, 1944. The Nazis threw out the government in Hungary, put their own people in. The Jews then had to live in ghettos. They were, Edith's family was moved into, essentially it was an old brick factory where they lived. The next thing you know, they were put on cattle cars. Where's the cattle car going? It wound up going to Auschwitz. As the doors opened and they were walking out, Edith's mother turned to Edith and said something which was so important to her. And this is so unity. Turned to Edith and said, Edith, remember, they can't take what you put in your mind, they can't take that away from you. What you put in your mind, they cannot take away from you. That really, honestly, truly kept her going. Sidebar, it's 2020. I've always had, my father served in World War II. He was in the U.S. Army Tank Corps. And again, remember, I was adopted into a Jewish family, and so I turned to my father and I said, he's in the Tank Corps, and I said, Daddy, what did you ever think what you would do if Hitler won? And my father looked at me and said, well, quite frankly, Ricky, I felt, there would be some dark days in the war and it would take us a while to get going, but I never seriously considered that Hitler would win. I just didn't. I never considered that the Axis powers would defeat the Allies. So I had this feeling, people talking about, well, the crumbling of American democracy, and I always used to think it can't happen here. It can't happen here. We have the Constitution, we have the institutions. It's this American civil virtues and what it can't happen here. It's 2020, and I was sitting at the breakfast table, and I was reading several articles, and I started to get a real sinking feeling. Oh my God, it could happen here. It could. I can't tell you what a low sinking feeling that was. It could happen here. Then this other thought came to me. Even if it happened here, they can't take the Christ away from you. Let's not be parochial about it. They couldn't take the Buddha nature away from you. They couldn't take the divine spark away from you. And as that thought came to me, and the way they can't take the Christ away from you, I had this feeling, even if it does happen here, I have divine wisdom. I will know what's the right and proper thing to. I will know what the right and proper thing to do. They can't take the Christ away from me. Remembering Edith Eger's mother, remember, Edith, what you put in your mind, they cannot take away from you. There's a profound reason why this is called New Thought. A profound reason. Edith walked in, and her parents walked in, and as they came into the gates, there was Dr. Joseph Mengele, Dr. Death, the famous Nazi doctor of horror, and he's judging, you go this way, you go that way. Her parents are told to go this way. You get a shower, you go that way. You go this way. Edith and her older sister were shunted that way. Her parents were shunted that way. And Edith is, obviously, she turned to one of the guards and said, what's going to happen to my parents? And he said to her, you see the white smoke? That's your parents. That's your parents. That night, again, Edith thinking, she's not pretty and all that. Mengele saw her, and Mengele just saw from the way she walked and find out she's a dancer. And yes, she's a dancer and a gymnast. Bring her to I want her to come to the hall with me tonight after dinner. Her parents, that happened, and that very night, she's brought in front of Dr. Mengele, and Mengele says to her, dance for me, dance. And she had to dance. To make a long story short, she did not meet Viktor Frankl in Auschwitz. Frankl was in Auschwitz. Finally, when the camp was liberated, there were a pile of corpses, and the Allied soldiers came and one soldier realized that this is not a corpse. There's still life in this person, and that was Dr. Edith Eger. She got her health back, married. Interesting, probably it was a marriage very much like her mother to somebody who was, not because she had been in love with the love of her life from before the war, and she was never able to meet him. So Hungary, you go from the Nazis to the communists. The communists are now taking over Hungary. She was very fortunate to be able to get out of Hungary and come to the United States. So she was able to know freedom and economic opportunity in the United States. But, wherever you go, there you are. And there was so much she was not free of. She went through, it took her a while to realize this is post-traumatic stress disorder. She had tremendous guilt, survivor guilt. A car would backfire and my God, she's right back there. You go past and you see, it's the election of the Pope and the TV showing white smoke for the election of the Pope, and she's right, she is right back there. Fortunately, she was able to meet Viktor Frankl, that great Jewish psychiatrist who was also in Auschwitz, wrote that wonderful classic Man's Search for Meaning. And so much of what Frankl taught her started to bring her, truly relief and growth. She then decided she wanted to become a psychologist, and she took a course there and there. But then people came up to her and said, you should go for a doctorate. And she said, yeah, but I'm going to be a grandmother. They said, you're going to be a grandmother anyway. You might as well, And so she did it and graduated. She started working in a clinic in La Jolla, California, was on the faculty of the University of California at San Diego. And she starts really working on PTSD. And this is a woman who's been there, done it, and got the T-shirt, and starts making incredible breakthroughs on this. The U.S. Army gets really interested. They start reading her papers, because now they're dealing with a lot of trauma patients from PTSD patients from Vietnam and other military actions. She starts doing a lot of breakthrough work. Then she starts writing. One of the books she wrote was The Gift, which we, copies. Oprah reads it, and the next thing you know, has her on like she has Eger on, and the next thing you know, Doug Abrams hears about it, I hear about it, and as it were, almost the rest is history. An incredible life, but an image which has been important to her is the image of the phoenix. Because there's a lot of times, one of the key principles she also believes is nobody comes through this thing called life unscathed. Nobody comes through this thing called life unscathed. And it really is pointless to say my scathing was more serious than your scathing. Many of us fortunately have not faced things as horrible as Auschwitz, but we faced our own little closet of horrors and stabs in the back and relatives telling you, even though you're gorgeous, as Dr. Eger, I think, is, and she's in her 90s now, and I think she's still, a beautiful, beautiful woman. Nobody comes through this thing called life unscathed. And her image of the phoenix is the phoenix goes through the tragedy and seems in many ways destroyed by it, but rises again, and rises in a way which is, stronger than ever before. She, first of all, she says, victimhood, to be a professional victim is so unproductive, and is just wasting a life. She writes, Edith says, I'm here to tell you that the worst prison is not the one the Nazis put me in. The worst prison is the one I built for myself. Dr. Eger says, our thoughts and beliefs determine and often limit how we feel, what we do, and what we think is possible. And then she says, and I think that's really, 4th of July, the foundation of freedom is the power to choose. The power to choose. So we'll be talking in this series, one of the things that's so important, get out of victimhood. Get out of being the professional victim and realize that, that not only, recovery, but rising like the phoenix is possible. Another AA story. A person actually in the big book, Central Text of AA, and recently passed, but had a big impact, was a guy called Dr. Paul, who was alcoholic doctor and wound up locked up in the psycho ward of the hospital where he was on staff and on call. Dr. Paul said, I used to think that being an alcoholic would be the worst liability in the world. And now I realize that being an alcoholic is the greatest asset one of the greatest assets that I have. Turning a liability around into an asset. And, there's so many stories, and I don't care whether you take these stories in the Bible literally, metaphysically, or some combination of the two. But probably the most famous one of the lot is Joseph. Joseph sold into slavery by his brothers. And so anyway, there's famine, and the brothers go down to Egypt to get food. They walk into the chancellor's throne room, and they look at the chancellor and they realize, oh my God, it's our brother Joseph who we sold into slavery. Our goose is cooked. And Joseph looks at them and says, I forgave you a long time ago. You did it for evil, but God used it for good. God used it for good. Spirit used it for good. As the Apostle Paul says in Romans, all things work together for good for those who know and love God. It was true back then, and it's still true today. And Dr. Eger says I have found, said Dr. Eger, there's certain things you can do to start rising like a phoenix. The first thing she says is really important is getting out of victimhood. is stop being a professional victim. Stop wallowing in your story. Stop believing that you can't have an existence which is beyond, yes, it was horrible. Yes, it was this. Yes, it was that. But guess what? Nobody comes through this thing called life unscathed. And don't go around comparing your scathing to other people's scathing. And don't, et cetera, et cetera. The first thing she talks about is that it's important to own your own story. One of the first steps towards healing from trauma, she says, is to acknowledge and accept the reality of what happened to you. This involves not wallowing in your story, but owning the story and accepting both the pain and the beauty that can come from it. Finally, it reached a point where she was feeling, this was now in the 1950s, she was feeling so badly, even though she's now living in the United States, in the financially and everything else seeming secure. She said, I'm going back to Auschwitz. I'm going back to Hungary. I'm going back. Her sister, older sister, looked and said, you're crazy. I'm not doing that. She went back to Auschwitz. She started to really own her story. Oh, not wallow in it, but own it, acknowledge it, and move on from it. Second, cultivating a self-awareness. Dr. Eger emphasizes the role of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. The interesting thing is IQ, you're born, evidence seems to be you're born with the IQ, and you can't lift the IQ that much or whatever, but EQ, emotional intelligence, is teachable, and the evidence seems to show that, boy, oh boy, you can grow in emotional intelligence. It's important, she says, to develop the ability to identify and express our emotions, as well as to recognize your triggers and patterns of behavior. As I've said before, I'm very fortunate. I've been doing spiritual direction every month with Dr. Robert Brummett. Many see Reverend Robert as being sort of like the Yoda of the Unity movement. And a lot of times during our sessions, he'll ask me, oh my God, he asked me, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about that? Where do you feel it in your body? Oh my God. We used to say, he was also taught me in seminary, we used to say that Dr. Robert, professor, he was not happy with your paper until you coughed up a fur ball. And that the feeling question, how am I literally feeling? I find it hard a lot of times to answer. Where are you feeling it in your body? To come into those terms, and I'm getting a little better at it, but I'm away from, I'm beyond a white belt in it, but I'm certainly no black belt in it. And those kind of questions of cultivating that type of self-awareness is so important. Dr. Eger, two Vietnam veterans, both of them get their legs almost similar. Their legs are off. They're in different wards. One is a basket case and in total victimhood, depression, everything else. The other one is he's finding that there are sports which you can, and we now have Paralympics and stuff like that. Has goals, wants to become a lawyer, et cetera, et cetera. That coming into that self-awareness is so important. And then, and this goes back to her training with Dr. Viktor Frankl, finding meaning and purpose and transcendence. Dr. Eger believes that finding meaning and purpose in life can be a powerful tool for overcoming trauma. This can involve identifying and knowing your values, setting goals, and finding out that the universe is more than your ego, transcending that ego to something which is beyond the ego. When you start to do that, you can start to rise. You can start to be like Dr. Paul and say, maybe my alcoholism isn't that bad a liability. Maybe it's one of the key assets that I have. And then she talks about another thing which is important is practicing self-care. practicing self-care. Now, I remember I was an intern at Unity Village Chapel, which is sort of like the mother church at Unity Village. And Reverend Aaron McCabe was the minister, and she looked at me one day and she said, "You know, Rick, ministers talk about self-care out the yin-yang, but it's one of the things they're really bad at, you tend to be bad at." That was very important because self-care, to become a minister, you go through and Unity, you go through what are called LNOs, license and ordination exams, and you face a committee. You do 4 of them. So I did my first one. Excuse me. I did my first one, and the committee came up and afterwards and said, it was a wonderful talk you gave. We see that you have, we think you could do blah, blah, blah. But there is something we're seriously concerned about, and that's ministerial burnout. And I thought, my God, I haven't even been given, and then they started talking about self-care and ministerial burnout. And quite frankly, it's something which I am still working on. That sense of self-care. Remember the loving spoonful? What a day for a daydream. The ability to say every once in a while, you know what? Custom made for a daydream. Go down to Peakview and just walk that path and look at the flowers and the trees and stuff like that. That kind of self-care can be so important. Now, let me say that these principles, you don't have to go to Auschwitz for these principles to really work. There's a poet and writer by the name of Maggie Smith. She's written, one of her poems, Meryl Streep recently read it on the internet, and it's gone viral. 2 books which I could recommend by her. One's called Keep Moving. The other is You Can Make This Place Beautiful. Maggie, married to her childhood sweetheart, upper middle class existence, two kids, everything looks just going along great, till she finds out her husband's been cheating on her. And the marriage dissolves and goes down the tubes. She starts going into serious depression and starts working these principles. And she starts getting the notion that maybe out of this, which seems like this horrible tragedy to her, maybe she can start to take this tragedy and turn it into an asset. Hence the title, You Can Make This Place, you look around and think, oh my God, this stinks. You Can Make This Place Beautiful, essentially the title of her book and what Meryl Streep read. Maggie also would add to Dr. Eger's list 2 things. One thing in particular, the importance of spiritual communities. The importance of spiritual communities. Story. It's the first Christmas, and she doesn't have her kids, and she is all alone. All right, get out of, she said, I used to look at essentially my body as a plant stand for my head, living all in your head, and she started getting into running and all that. So it's Christmas morning. She goes out and she starts running, comes back sweaty and all that, and she sees several people at the door, and they're from her spiritual community. And they said, we remember we went through divorces, and we remember what those first Christmas was without the kids. We baked cakes and all this and all that. Come on in. And so she's standing around in all her sweatiness, as it were, and all that, eating cake, which was, and around people from her spiritual community. She then gets a phone call from her prayer chaplain. And if you're not connected to we have wonderful prayer chaplains. Get connected to them. Prayer chaplains calls and says, I hear, this is your first Christmas without, and they share. And she said, you know what? The Beatles are right. You get by with a little help from your friends. A powerful, and two things Maggie says. First, she had some spiritual principles, kind of, sort of. But she said going through this divorce, the principles stopped being kind of, sort of. They became real, and they became so deep. They became so deep. And she realized the importance of spiritual communities in rising like a phoenix. And so I would say, nobody, to remember, first of all, nobody comes through this thing called life unscathed. And it's pointless to compare my scathing to your scathing. We all come through. Nobody comes through this thing called life unscathed. And that getting out of being a professional victim is so important. And then owning your own story, not wallowing in it, but owning it, coming into contact with it. As Edith Eger's case, going back to Auschwitz, cultivating self-awareness, knowing when those triggers are happening. And the hard thing is, what am I really feeling? What am I feeling inside? Where am I feeling it? And coming into contact with that. And then, so important, finding meaning, purpose, and transcendence, realizing that life is so much more than our egos. And then lastly, and this I admit, something I'm really learning, self-care. Self-care. And when we do this, we, like Dr. Eger, can start rising like the phoenix, even though some hard things and knocks have happened in our lives. Next week, when we come back, we'll continue the series on Dr. Edith Eger and talk about things like grief, sorrow, and some more about how to get over pain. But let me today give the last word to Dr. Eger, and I think it really ties into the 4th of July. Dr. Eger writes, when you change your life, it isn't to become a new you. It's to become the real you, the real you. And she also writes, the ultimate key to freedom is to keep becoming who you truly are. The ultimate key to freedom is to keep becoming who you really are. Boy, oh boy, Unity, Essence, Unity 101. Thank you, and God bless.
So today we are going to go into meditation with a song I wrote for the choir a while ago, so you guys can all help me out. It's called I Rise. It's just a simple chant, and we'll do each section 3 times. I rise, I rise, I rise. 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 I see beauty in your eyes. I rise, I rise, I rise. I see beauty in your eyes. I rise, I rise. I rise, I rise, I rise. I greet the earth and skies. I rise, I rise, I rise. I greet the earth and skies. I rise, I rise, I rise. I greet the earth and skies.
I'd like you to think of a time before the fireworks go. It's still light, waiting for the darkness. Maybe you're sitting on a blanket in a park or park bench. Or maybe you can see the fireworks from a home or park near you, but it's before the fireworks. Before the fireflies have come out. Sitting and waiting. Maybe their children playing frisbee down the way, or baseball. People finishing up 4th of July meals. The sun is sinking. Just taking a deep breath. And feeling that freedom, that joy, and that peace. And feeling that connection with Spirit. And that sense that all things are possible with God. And that we too can know that peace that passes all understanding. And with that sense of joy and expectation, we gladly go into the silence. Dear Spirit, thank you for our many, many blessings. And where there are challenges in our lives, help us to see those challenges as opportunities for more spiritual growth and to know that the best is yet to come. And for this and so much more, we say thank you and amen and amen.
The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Let's stand and sing together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well.
Please be seated. Well, now we come to the part of tithes and offerings and gifts, and we have just been so blessed getting through the pandemic and post-pandemic, and it's such a giving community. I mean, there were a lot of Unity churches, and ministers told me, quite frankly, at the convention, that they felt that during, things were financially what they were doing, they couldn't continue to tithe and give and support during the pandemic. This congregation went the different route. This congregation continued to tithe, continued to give. We support Unity institutions such as Silent Unity, Unity Worldwide Ministries. There's so many groups that we are, Humankind, we recently delivered a wonderful check there. Our food not bombs, refrigerator out front, and the pantry, and the library. This congregation has continued to be a giving community, and I think that has made all the difference. It's held to these principles, and quite frankly, again, I don't care whether you take it literally or metaphysically or what, but the prophets, the ancient Israeli prophets said, test me, when it came to giving, and I think this congregation has just so lived up to that test, and I see us continuing to do that and being abundantly blessed in the process. Let's affirm our abundance together. Unity in the Seven Hills is abundantly blessed. Creative people are drawn to us. Divine ideas flow through us. Financial resources bless us. And we accomplish mighty works together. For folks online, there are many ways to give. Again, I'm not connected with Zelle, but I have found Zelle to be a great way of doing it. Checks, snail mail works a little slower, but it still works. PayPal, or click the link below. One of the things which we do want to say about, when paying with PayPal, either click the giving link on our website at unityinthesevenhills.org, that's all one word, or if on YouTube, please click the link below so that we get, as it were, we get the whole amount. Our ushers are going to have us come up, and again, I know many people give monthly or whatever. Come on up. I mean, your positive vibes and thoughts are really important. Then there's that wonderful Unity candle, and then lastly, please take an affirmation. And so let me turn it back to Daniel.
So let's stand and sing something wonderful together. Oh, just before we do, I just want to acknowledge Matt is obviously not here, the drummer that's normally here with us. So he and his family are with COVID this week. But I see him returning shortly. I need him to return pretty soon. There's something wonderful is happening to me. right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, no it won't let go. All this love inside. We can let it shine, yes we can. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, no it won't let go. All this love inside. We can let it shine out, yes we can. Something wonderful. So let's bless these gifts together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. United in mind, body, and spirit, I dedicate these gifts as they grow to bless our community, our neighborhood, and our world. So thank you for being here, those of you who are here in person, and for those of you online, thank you for joining us. Here's the closing statement. I'm going to have to proceed because this is 2 pages long. Thanks for joining us today. Looking to stay in the loop with our exciting lineup of events and classes, look no further than unityinthesevenhills.org. And I could put it down here, but I'm going to actually do a little bit more. There's calendars and newsletters too. Not available this week, but they will be next week. RE is also sick with COVID. So, part of our mission statement is our dedication to education. U7H offers yoga and meditation experiences and exciting classes. Here are some of the classes going on right now and some to mark in your calendars. One-to-oneness. They're studying the Bhagavad Gita Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join us for Angels 102 with Pam Smith. That's Wednesdays at 1, starting July 12th. That's a week on Wednesday. So, August the 2nd, Reverend Rick will be kicking off metaphysical interpretations. So, August 2nd, sorry. Right? If you want to find out more, get in contact with the church. Sunday, July 30th, Professor Elroy Boyd and Yamaja will be joining us. Being a Badass from Dr. Jubilee. We have been programmed, domesticated to be seen and not heard. Learn about the role of our throat, heart, and solar plexus chakras and how they play in our authentic voice. There will be movement, singing, and journaling. Know who you are, express yourself, and love yourself to become a badass. Only $20 for a 2-hour program, and you won't want to miss out on that. So, we are also thrilled to announce that on October 7th, we'll be hosting the highly anticipated Building Bridges Through Diversity workshop. It will take place 10 until 4:30. Attendance is only $20. But we want to emphasize that no one will be turned away due to financial constraints. So that's October the 7th, 10 till 4:30, and come and join us. We're excited to extend an invitation to the wider community as this workshop promises to be an enlightening experience for all. However, we want to ensure that our U7H community members receive priority access to this incredible opportunity. All right. Your prayer chaplain today is Regina over there. If you're watching at home, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and click that bell icon. Oh, great. There's sign-up sheets for everything in the back. Yeah. All right. So let's close. Before we close, we have birthdays.
Food, and may it help nourish the good in us. Amen and amen.
Yep. And so July birthdays. Hey, come on. And I'll be here singing for Tristan, whose birthday is today, and Gina's birthday today as well. So, Jeannie Funk. So, happy birthday for the July babies. Let's kick it up with a little happy birthday to you. It might be loud, but that's okay. Loud and proud. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, we love you. Happy birthday to you. Let's have the track for the peace song today, Paula. So we're going to sing with the track. Let's close. Don't forget, don't step back, just step forward. Peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as Creator, united all are we. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. And you have one more chance to see Tea Room if you want to come along and see the musical that I'm in at Randolph College today at 2 o'clock. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.